Toast makers, shot takers, and y'all know my favorite, puff chasers. This is your great Sir Bradley Ashton back with another installment of I Got Five on it, where I'm just giving a millennial masculine perspective on current events and everything that affect men every day. So if you don't mind, please share this with anyone who has an XY chromosome. And ladies, y'all are welcome as well. So what I have on slate for tonight is a recent interview that American rapper Young Jock and his wife Kendra did with Suave magazines a couple of weeks ago, right? Or at least the interview has been published within the last couple of weeks, right before Thanksgiving. And in the interview, the interviewer briefly asked the couple about a storyline that was going on because they're both currently featured on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I think probably the most popular version of the Love and Hip Hop franchise. And basically, where they get into a situation where a woman that Jock was involved with was trying to, I guess, get some type of like legal work done. And with his wife being an attorney, he went ahead and referred this woman to his wife, Kendra. Now, based on the story and what Jock told his wife, there are two different versions, right? One version that's coming from Jock is that he was involved with her in the past. The young lady's version of the story is saying that Jock and her had involvement while he was still in his first marriage, and then also while he was currently dating Kendra before they tied the knot recently. So it goes into that, and then it goes into this whole idea or this whole notion that she wouldn't necessarily want Jock to, well, not Jock, excuse me. She won't necessarily want her stepdaughters, because I don't think they have any kids together. She wouldn't want her stepdaughters to involve themselves with a man that's like Jock. And Jock took offense to that, and he kind of had to nip that in the bud. And the internet it's only really been shown like the last like 2 or 3 minutes of that snippet, and that's one of the things that I generally dislike about social media is you will see a small snippet of the interview, and you don't really get the whole entire context of why she even made the statement in the first place, right? And a lot of people, if they watch the Love and Hip Hop series, they'll kind of understand like the background of their relationship. Now, I haven't seen Love and Hip Hop in years, so I wouldn't have any idea of what their relationship is, the storyline, how it was displayed on the show, anything like that. So I had to do my research, as freelance journalists do. Had to do my research about their history, the timeline of their relationship, how long they've been together, which I couldn't really find that, but they say long time, so I'm gonna assume that they've been in a relationship for over 5 years. And noticing that he also too, and also to add context as well, Jock has I think about 8 to 9 kids by I want to say by 4 or 5 different women. So just trying to gear y'all up, just to what to expect. So I'm gonna go ahead and click the share screen because I want to play the interview in its entirety. And then, of course, because of fair use, I'm going to be pausing in between just to give my perspective, and then we're going to wrap it up at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this share screen going on. Let's do the do share screen. Yep. Okay. So we're going to play the interview. All right. Let me go back. Look, we're going, hey, getting it as we go, you know. All right, so go to about and let's play it.
That was like the ex-friend, Mita. Yeah. Mita, there you go. When she came to Fisher, it was different sides and different stories, different timelines, and all that. When you start stripping that away, you left for a week or so. And when you came back, your question to her was, did you mean it when you said, I do? You said yes. Does that overshadow anything before the wedding? Or are those things like still there and it's like something that has to be worked on during the marriage?
Well, the things, because I just want to be clear, and I guess this will set it straight for everybody. Anything that is being divulged on the show, so basically, I did not get blindsided by anything on the show. You know, like I had a knowledge, like the lady Mita, like she inquired to close a loan at my title company, SRS Title, here in Atlanta. I'm a closing attorney. So, and Jacille, whenever she did reach out for that, he gave me her information and, basically, we were going to do business. He let me know that he had previous dealings with the lady. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Money green, like whatever.
Now, now you hear that, right? So the thing with me is when she gave that detail and said that there was a woman that wanted to potentially do business with her and wanted to get a loan for whatever, I guess, business or whatever she was trying to do with that loan. If I'm Jock in that situation and I have a history of dealing with some colorful individuals, right? And I don't know if she necessarily did that because of the show, the young lady, but if I'm Jock, and I gotta, I am a male advocate, but I gotta get on Jock for this right quick. Unless she is a person whom I have a platonic relationship with, I am not. I am not about to give business to my woman with a woman whom I was previously involved with. Because one thing that women love to do is they like to kind of put certain information in a woman's face to make her feel some type of way. Kind of like a, gotcha bitch. And want to try to, make the other woman look stupid, like, oh, like you know that like me and John used to get down back in the day. Now, Job frames it, like I said, he frames it that they dealt long before they was in a relationship. The young lady was trying to say that they've been messing with each other even when they were dating and before they got married. So it does a whole lot of mess. And then then it's reality TV. So who's to say that this wasn't, scripted or whatever, but let's continue.
And so I had a working knowledge of all of this. My issue, though, is that when Jacille brought this situation to me in the form of a business opportunity, I guess, he was forthcoming with me. Now, he just said that it was something from the past, like before his and our relationship. But the way that she is making it seem is that she's been dealing with him since 2008 when he was a married man. And so it's like that's weird, that's horrible. It's not far from, I guess, his character at the time or a part of his character, but still it still would make my ears raise. And then for her to go in to say that she was dealing with him at times where him and I were in a relationship, all this is prior to marriage, like that's unacceptable to me because again, Jocelyne and I have had issues in our past where, I was unfaithful, stuff like that. But that was also within the first year of us knowing and meeting each other, But the time frame that she's speaking of, like, we were like serious living together. So it's just like, if any of that is true, like, he would be a foul of our relationship. It's just so wrong, and so that's my thing. And so I know that everybody is of the opinion I shouldn't care because it's before the marriage, but I do care because it's like, don't lie to me and don't have me out here looking like a fool, and I know that sometimes people say, "Oh, that's cliche," but I'm real serious because in real life, I'm really this girl in real life. Like, none of my businesses are fabricated. None of my accolades are exaggerated. No net worth estimates. Hell, they might be estimating that too low. You know what I mean? So, like, in real life, Kendra, the person, independent of all of this messy, cloudy mess that, Jaceel has, it, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
This is the perfect time to pause. So I don't know if y'all caught that, but she been throwing some quick little jabs here and there, like, I don't know if this was a part of his character in the past or this is just a part of his character, basically trying to say that her husband basically is a man that would put his woman in unfavorable situations. And then she even mentioned that even during their relationship before they got married, that she had her own moments where she stepped out in the relationship, right? So, but see the way she tried to frame it up, she was like, yeah, I may have, did my own dirt too, but I was within the first year of our relationship. We were living with each other, so it's like it's a little different now. But it's like you still did your own thing though, right? So notice, and I want y'all to notice that, young man, women will always try to like excuse or find justifications in their shit. But then it's like with him, but like with sometimes our transgressions, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it is, but they'll try to frame it like theirs is minor compared to ours, but it's like we still both did the same thing, right? And then, just kind of, what I'm saying, like this last line, she kind of really putting this man on the butt that way. He kind of looking like, damn, like, you've been waiting to say that, huh? So let's see what else you got to say.
I could do without that and be probably better, arguably better off. You know what I mean? So, like, that stuff bothers me. A ring doesn't make it go away. And I have said this to him several times, and I say this on any platform. I don't care which one it is because it's the truth. I care about if you were a liar up until the day we got married, or if, you were living whatever type of life while we were just in a relationship. A marriage doesn't cure that. If somebody's a gambling crackhead on one side of the broom, when they step on the other side of the broom, they still let the blackjack still basing up. Like, it's no different. So, like, I actually care about that. And I shared with him, and I was rattlesnake serious. Like, we still within the annulment period, okay? The prenup there.
Yes, rattlesnake serious.
Like, I'm serious. Like, we can go ahead and undo this, and I can continue to move north, and you can continue to be in disarray. Like, and I'm
like, bro, this woman is an attorney. Like, the late great Kevin Samuels once had a upload where he detailed the top professions for men that you should stay away from. One of the professions that he stated that men should stay away from if he want a serious relationship are women who are lawyers and attorneys, right? Because for one, women, because I've dealt with an attorney too. That they are the quintessential definition of a pit bull in a skirt, bro. They are, they're hard nosed. They have, they do their research on things. And then you got to understand, with her being a lawyer, with her being an attorney, she's going to detail this later in the interview. She knows the law. She knows the law, front, back, and side to side. Why in the world? First of all, women already be having a leg up on knowing the divorce laws, the divorce codes, all these different things. Men don't go into these situations knowing all these things. That's why a lot of men end up getting blindsided when they're sent, the papers for an annulment or a divorce. Because we're not expecting or we're not thinking about, okay, the potential of our relationship dissolving to the point where I'm gonna call up lawyers and try to get a divorce. But she's an attorney. Like, this is her profession. You know what I'm saying? Granted, she's a closing attorney, but still, like, she has lawyer friends. Like, I'm pretty sure when she was getting married to Jock, people already letting her know, like, hey, like, if you need X, Y, and Z, don't be slow to hit me up. We can come up with a game plan. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta think about this too. Any woman who would be willing to say that, I would, get an annulment, or I'm willing to divorce you, that she's probably already been thinking about that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to wish bad on their relationship, but if you hear of any dissolvement or relationship, don't be surprised. And this is gonna be the first thing we come back to. But let's see what else she say.
This is serious. And so it's just like, I care about what happened before. It's like we was living together like we were married and stuff. So it's like, and I explained this to him, I explained this to the world and my friends and everybody else. If any of this stuff is true, even though it was before we jumped the broom, like, I'm not okay with it. I'm not going to be okay with it. And so to answer your question, we would need to work on stuff like that. Like, if you, like, for instance, if he lied to me about anything, that's something that, in my opinion, needs therapy. We need counseling, stuff like that, because I don't want to stay together with a man who is a liar, a cheater, a deceiver, and a womanizer, a gaslighter. I don't want to be like that. It's plenty of men out here who do not fit that description, who I feel like would be worthy of my time. And it's just like, if that's who he is, if that's who you are, I gave the option of annulment. I'm a lawyer. I know everybody in the county where we live at, one of our houses at. I know people in all the counties we got property in. So it would literally be quick. So it don't matter that it was before marriage.
Like, this is my thing, but see, the thing about it, I don't know. Here's the thing, man. And this is something that's been going on allegedly for some time. I think it's very well documented that Jock has a way with the ladies. I think Jock also too has a type. A lot of his women are on the and the word thick is very subjective when it comes to describing curvy women. Um, because I checked out the video of Kendra getting into it with the Mita woman, and Mita kind of fits the same body description of kind of like the how can I say, like, she's a lot of his women are chunky. You know what I'm saying? A lot of his women are chunky, meaning that they're not they're not like fat per se. Like, they don't have like rolls on top of rolls on top of rolls on top of rolls, but they're definitely soft. Like, I don't know if you can even notice with Kendra. Kendra kind of got the soft arms and the soft midsection and stuff like that, but they got big thighs, and I'm pretty sure they're pretty ample in that Desiree area. You feel what I'm saying? So he has a certain type of woman that he likes, and with him, I think it's one of those things where if this man been doing this for a long time, you kind of have to know what you're signing up for. I mean, this man is an entertainer. This man is constantly around different women and stuff like that. So if this is a man, and then on top of that, I mean, we can, kind of gauge that just by the fact that he has, excuse me, so many kids by so many different women. So she's saying that, oh, we don't have to do this. We can get in the numbing, and I'm not trying to be involved with a man like this. And if this is where you are or where you are, then we can get therapy, counseling. And then my thing is, you already had prior knowledge of a lot of these things before y'all even said I do. So why that's not things that y'all already doing beforehand? Instead of being reactive, why not be proactive to make sure that y'all are going into a marriage where the problems that have already existed, y'all are already ironing them things out so that it's not a thing that is a continuous theme in you all's relationship. And then on top of that too, man, listen, if you are that sought after by other men, and I ain't talking about just men who want to sleep with you, right? Because I think that's easy for men to want to, because she's a pretty attractive woman. There's a difference between a man wanting to sleep with you and a man who want to take care of you, right? And I don't think that she would be with Jock the distance of time that she's been with him if he hadn't shown himself to be a provider of sorts, to be a man that can give her certain resources, things of that nature. So I kind of feel like that was another dig at him. Like, I got guys basically checking for me, but it's apparent that I think low key she likes the fact that her dude can attract other women because now that's social proof that she's with a man of value. But let's continue.
It's like, and he knows that, so y'all just got to keep watching to see, what what he was lying about, what he was telling the truth about. If we even find that out, because I'm not even sure we find that out. So we float no faith.
You want to let that one go where it's at?
Oh no, I didn't know he was gonna ask another question.
Oh no, I didn't mean like that.
I mean, she gave you such a spill. So of course, back to your question, I disclosed a lot to her that, we often hear the phrase, all money ain't good money. And, because I had not messed with her, it wouldn't have been a feeling of guilt or deceit, in the situation. So she called me and I was like, and I had to be honest with her first when she called me. I said, look, I'll be 100 with you. It's a real situation I'm in. I'm married this woman. So I can't just tell you I'm gonna just turn you over to talk to my wife to be, my soon to be wife, to do business. Because I can't move like that and not disclose that you and I have been intimate before, have been involved. And I'm not gonna do that. And she was like, okay. And I was like, now, if you tell me you're in dire need of some assistance, you understand the fact that I'm gonna tell my lady as much as she needs to know, anything she has to be honest and forthcoming with her. And you make sure that you approach this with utmost respect on my situation, I'm cool with that. I said, I can't promise you she gonna work with you. I said, but my lady gonna get that bag. So if it's a bag to get, you might be in luck. She said, okay. So when I stood up to Kendra, I told her, I said, babe, they say all money ain't good money to this. And I can say you're absolutely right. But here's the spiel. I told her, I gave her the number. That was it. I never asked another question about it because at that moment, I felt as a man, honestly, as a man, I did what I was supposed to do. I turned over whatever. Because once you get a number, that's like turning over the documents. Because if she wanted to be on some fire, oh girl, let me tell you, since we had it, I hope you don't think you got you nothing. People do stuff like that. In my heart of hearts, I didn't think she would do anything like that because that was nothing for her to do. That was nothing for her to use against me. Yeah. Respectfully, I felt like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. That's why in the scene, I told Kendra. So Kendra, I told you about that. But it still feels like a blindsided jab.
No, I just didn't remember.
All right, so he gave his spiel and he basically just like, look, you coming to me about a need, a dire need, and you say that you want the services of a closing attorney. My wife is a closing attorney, but at the same time, I don't feel comfortable opening her up potentially to you being a client or a customer of hers, and I don't disclose the fact that at one point in time, me and you were once intimate with each other. Now, some people, because they may have only had an intimate encounter once or twice and it didn't really go to anything, that it wouldn't necessarily be it wouldn't necessarily be important to bring up that fact. But if this is true, because this is all alleged, because she swears she claimed that she don't remember. But let's just say this is true. He did his responsibility in saying, hey babe, I got this woman. She's looking to get a loan for her business. But let me also disclose to you that at one point in time, before we got together, me and this woman were intimate, right? And then even went as so far as to give her number, the young lady's number, to Kendra, right? And I think that's good because he's putting all the power in Kendra's hand to say, okay, am I willing to work with a woman whom has seen my man naked? Or am I willing to put that aside to get to this money? Because he said early in the interview that, money is green to me, basically saying that I could put personal differences to the side when it comes to getting my bread, getting my paper, right? So I think that that's good that he did that. Me personally, still, I think the whole situation could have been avoided just by not even opening that door up. You know what I'm saying? Because again, like I stated earlier, when people feel like they got information over you, they're going to attempt to use that shit against you. And they are in a city like Atlanta, especially when it comes to celebrities and people know one another and people are trying to get some type of clout. This is the era of, the side chick trying to get some clout, trying to blow up a good situation, all that type of stuff. Even if they're not currently messing with a particular individual, they'll still bring up some shit that happened 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? And will try to get clout and try to ruin someone else's situation because misery loves company, basically, right? And like he said, he didn't think that the young lady would do that because there was really no reason to do so. But it's like the same time, Jock, like, man, again, based on the women whom he has been involved with, at least to our public knowledge, they are all characters. And this woman, based on that scene I watched, y'all can watch it on your own time. Based on that scene that I watched, that lady looked like she's a lady that's willing to, stir up some mess, man. So that's why I wouldn't even suggest it at all, gentlemen. If you are involved with a woman who has a certain service and you got a blasphemy plaza, form of flame, trying to solicit some type of service or whatever from someone that you are involved with now that has what they're looking for, don't even open up that door, bro. Tell them to keep looking, man, because you're gonna save yourself a whole world of trouble, which he didn't do. But let's continue.
Jaceel tell me a lot of stuff, so it's like I just.
You remember? You just didn't remember the name.
I didn't remember the name. I remember he hooks me with people all the time, but I just didn't. I don't remember her name. He told me about it. Like,
well, it wasn't even 2 and 2. It was why they telling her about this girl, and they're like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "That's Mita, who I told you about." And so then she's like,
and so people like to, because I've been like just seeing my comment, all the miserable people. They like, "Oh, you knew this," and I'm like, "No, girl, I don't sit on social media all day, or I don't sit and gossip and do all that all day." So he told me about somebody. I'm expecting a phone call like anybody else do who want to, use me as their lawyer. I didn't get it. I moved on.
I never gave her your number. I gave you her number.
Well, the point is this.
And you never called her, so.
Because that's not the way I do. I don't call. I mean, people come to me and they use my services. That's the way that really.
I want to leave the power with you.
But
not her calling you. If you wanted to, say, you know what?
That's fine. In the scene, though, I just did it. I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I'm just like, what? And then when he explained it, I'm like, oh, okay, but at this point, it ain't even about that. It's about her timeline, and I'm not sure if I guess the show showcased her version of the timeline in several places. So it's just one of those things where I just want everybody to get off my back, utilize my services, use SRS title for your closing attorney. Let him figure out all that other stuff. I don't care about it. You know what I mean? But it's like, I just don't want to appear to look weak and look like I'm being lied to and manipulated by somebody who's supposed to be my husband, my rock, and my protector. So, that's just where all of this comes. It boils down to just that. It's not a good look, and it's not a good look for like young girls and for our daughters. It looks horrible. Like I told him, I said, now take one of our daughters meeting and falling in love with a man like you who exudes and exhibits the behavior and has every trait that you have, the good, the bad, the ugly, and in between. And would you be comfortable giving him away to her?
One thing,
I meant that.
I can answer that question wholeheartedly, and I can stand on it. I would not.
See, this is the portion of the episode, not the episode. This is the portion of the interview where Jock goes into his spiel about, who he is as a man and who he is as a man in this relationship to his woman. And before that, Kendra tried to frame it in this way where, I'm not sitting up on social media all day, but at the same time, your man gave you the right of refusal, basically, right? Like, she's trying to frame it like, well, if she wanted my service, she should just call me. But he was just like, well, baby, I'm not finna give a woman your personal information to basically call you potentially on some messy shit, which they end up happening anyways. He gave her number. She didn't call the woman. And apparently he left it alone, right? Which I probably did the same thing too. Like, I gave her the number. You ain't call. And he did also tell the woman too that, hey, it's a potential that she may not fuck with you because of the fact that we used to mess around. So that was kind of like down on that. But I guess with she alleges that Jock tells him a whole lot of stuff or whatever. But at the same time, according to him, he broke it down to her. That's why in the scene, he just kind of like, bro, I don't know what this is, man. And she trying to basically, she pushing on him and stuff and trying to get him to, get more information out of this woman. So it's interesting, man. And this is the portion of the interview that went viral. So let's check it out, since we now kind of have context of how we got to that point or got to this point.
Not be mad, because one thing about me, I'm a provider, I'm a protector. That's one thing.
But being a provider and a protector does not make it okay to be a liar, a cheater, a womanizer.
No.
It doesn't.
Listen,
That just makes you a
I don't
protector
practice lying on the
who
regular.
is a liar,
I
who
don't
is a
practice
cheater,
lying
who is a
on the regular.
womanizer. That's not
I
okay.
do not practice lying on the regular. One thing about it, when you talk about any human that you're gonna ever encounter, everybody done told a lie.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, everybody
ain't did what you did.
Hey, you're right.
Exactly.
Everybody ain't did
so
what you
don't try to. I know, but don't try to normalize.
I'm not.
What you have done.
I absolutely am not. What
like
I'm saying,
your life is not normal. It's not no model that I want Amir to follow, Amani to follow, Cadence to follow.
Okay.
Not. Okay. And I don't think their mothers would either. So let's be honest.
So what are you saying? What is that saying about me? I'm your husband.
Well,
you basically saying you wouldn't want my sons to be
I
like me.
would not want them to have as many children.
Okay.
And I would not want them to have all of these different situations. That's not something I would want for them.
So it's interesting that I find it interesting that she makes this statement, because you hear a lot of times women complaining about men who have this wide selection of kids from different women, and saying that she wouldn't want her sons, let's drop the stuff, her sons to model themselves after their father, and having a whole lot of situations all over the place. Wouldn't want his daughters to be with a man like he's displayed, but yet at the same time, you have chosen as his wife to deal with that, right? So then that bears the question, then, then what are you saying about yourself then? If you wouldn't want my kids to be in a situation like myself, but then you have made the choice to deal with that too. So basically, you're saying you like the potential of chaos. You like the potential of drama, but you're trying to frame it as though this is something that I'm only dealing with by myself, and that I basically am the problem in this situation, when you apparently like dealing with that. And that's something that I'm noticing too, as I, continue to mature in this journey called life, that a lot of women are addicted to drama. And I know a lot of women try to frame it like, oh no, I like to be drama free and all this other stuff. Like, no, like, I think she gets a thrill being with a guy like Jock, knowing that there's no sense of, I don't want to say stability, but knowing that there's not a dull moment when being involved with a man like him, right? And I'm not saying Jock is a bad guy. I don't even know the dude. I'm just basing it off of the interview that they're giving. It just appears that she's trying to put everything off on him, but I don't think she's taking her own personal accountability in her involvement with him as well. But let's see how much. Let's see what he also says. Continuing on.
I don't necessarily want that for them either.
Okay.
But don't sum me up just in the fact because I got kids. Because let me tell you something.
It's not just because you have children.
I'm gonna say it like this.
It's not just because you have children.
I'm gonna say it.
That's not what I was saying.
Put it on the table. Come down.
That's not what I was saying.
Because
it's not because you have. It's not. Well, I'm sure you would. But if you listen to it from a logical standpoint, it's not the fact that you have children.
It's you say that
the children are not the issue.
Don't just make it seem like I'm a bad person. Don't make some fucked up individual. What you're not gonna do is do that.
I didn't say that.
But that's how you put it. You said you won't want my son to be like me.
I wouldn't want them to do some of the things that you have done.
And I wouldn't want my daughters to do some of the things you've done. We're human. That's what I'm trying to say.
To do majority of the things that I've done.
Listen, what I'm saying is, when you talk about me, don't sum me up. Right? Don't sum me up on the worst side of me or what you consider the worst side of me. Because ain't nobody fucking perfect. So don't do that. That's what we're not gonna do. Because as a man, guess what? I got to stand on mine too. Because guess what? Let me say something. I didn't go to college. Guess what? Fine. I want my kids to go to college. So we can say that right now. I don't want them to go that direction. I want them to go to college. I can say that with you too. Right. But don't sit here in front of the world, in front of a medium, and say, oh, I wouldn't want my son or your sons to be like you. Hold on. No, you gonna put some respect on my name. Because I'm successful.
That man said, put some respect on my name, damn it. Put some respect on my name. Don't sum me of the negative things that I have done and then try to categorize me based off of that and that alone. Because apparently, if I was so negative or if I was this fucked up individual, you wouldn't be with me. But there's something about me, if I'm jocking this moment, there's something about me that made you want to be involved with me. So apparently I can't be all that negative, right? And then there's something also too that I remember um an older individual telling me one time in the past when I was in one of my relationships. I think, yeah, when I was still engaged, like, and when you having like arguments and blow ups and disagreements and things like that, right? That you should leave certain conversations within the confines of your four walls, right? Now, with them being celebrities, their life is a little different. Like their life is under a microscope, so they're going to be under, a bit more of scrutiny, right? Um, so they're going to be a little different, but still, even with that, if that is your husband, right? And I think sisters in particular, women in general, but especially black women, have this particular need of throwing their mates under the bus to kind of like make themselves look good in a certain way, as if they don't have their own flaws and transgressions that they have to overcome or deal with too. And his whole thing was just like, look, I understand that I'm not perfect. I understand that I've done some things that I'm not necessarily proud of, but don't try to make it seem like that's just all I'm about. Because again, if I was so bad, you wouldn't have agreed to marry me. You wouldn't have agreed to be Mrs. Robinson. You wouldn't agree to be the stepmother of my 8, 9 kids. You wouldn't agree to build this life potentially with me going on down the line in the future. You wouldn't agree to do that if I was such this horrible individual, right? And then because I am your husband, because I am your rock, because I am, in her words, I'm not going to put out the negative parts of you that I've experienced in the past. And then you're gonna see, towards the end, and she's like, put it out there. And he's telling her, like, look, I'm not willing to put you out there like that, like you doing me, because I love you. I cherish you. I want to somewhat protect your image. You feel what I'm saying? I don't want the world looking at you a certain type of way, like you got the world looking at me. And that's one thing with relationships, especially in this day of social media and clout and exposure. It always seems as though now that we have camera phones and things like that, and just several different mediums, that relationships are being spotlighted in a way in which women are now trying to showcase their husbands in negative low lights, but you hardly ever see men do that, right? And I think a lot of relationships could actually, I think a lot of relationships can actually fare better if so many women weren't willing to just throw their husbands under the bus and were willing to lift him up in public, but be constructively critical of him in private. And I'm gonna let it play to the end and then give my final assessment.
I take care of my kids.
Okay.
Ain't none of my kids out here in dire need of love and support. So we're gonna do that. Okay? Because I don't appreciate that. Because there's some things about you that I could say I wouldn't want my daughters to do.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna do that. I respect you and I love you enough.
I want this magazine to know
no.
I
what
respect
it is
about
integrity.
me. You don't want your daughters.
I'm not gonna do that.
Like,
I'm not gonna do that.
Be my guest. I'm not gonna be slighted, honey.
I'm not gonna do that. That's where we have to draw the line.
Okay.
Because I don't care because the camera in front of me or somebody asking me questions. I'm not gonna reveal my everything that go on with me. Just like right now, you ain't gonna sit here in front of these people and tell what your credit score is. You ain't gonna sit here and tell them your social security number. You ain't gonna sit here and tell them what's in your bank account either.
I won't.
Okay, so some things are better left fucking unsaid and in the private, and that's what I'm gonna do. So when you addressing me, don't ever make it seem like I'm the worst of the worst. Because I'm not.
Okay.
Because I came through and changed your life. And it wasn't about me having no money. It was about the integrity. It was about my integrity. It was about me standing up for you. It was about me helping you open your eyes to see things that no other man has gotten you to do. So when you talk about me and address me, please be mindful of that. Because I love you for who you are. Good and bad.
You know I love you for who you are.
But I would never say to the world that I wouldn't want my daughters to be like you. Because then it makes me question, why are you with me?
I'm not with you for the bad things. I'm not with you for having outside.
Well, just don't ever say that again, please.
Okay, well, you asked me.
You got it in this interview. Don't let me hear you say that again.
Okay.
No, please, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate
that.
Boy, listen. That man was not playing. Okay? That man was not playing around. Hold up. So, looking at that, right? It's kind of like, damn. Like, I know some folks like, damn, like, I was going in on that girl, man. But you got to understand and realize, man, like, when you're in a relationship, it's not for you to tear apart your partner in front of the world like that. Now, I get it that the magazine was asking a question about a situation that happened on the show. But I think it's certain ways to answer certain questions where you still answer the question to the best of your abilities, but then also to protect the sanctity of your relationship, right? And I think for Jock was just kind of like, damn, like, I get it. Like, I'm not the most perfect guy, you know what I'm saying? But I'm also willing to say that I have more redeeming sides to me than the sides that people try to label me as, right? And then also too, if I was such a horrible person, then what does that say about you and your selection skills, or you and your decision to be my wife? Like, I'm not finna say to the world that you are this type of woman to where I wouldn't want my daughters to model themselves after you. Just like you shouldn't be out here saying to the world that you wouldn't want my sons to model themselves after me, right? And who's to say that their children are going to go after a man like him? They may see the things that he has done and say, like, you know what, I don't necessarily want to be involved with a man like my father. But we often know that a lot of times, especially with young girls, young ladies, they tend to gravitate towards men who remind them of their fathers, right? And then young boys, depending on how close a relationship they have with their fathers, they tend to emulate the things that their fathers did as well. And something I also noticed too was that she just could not just sit there and just listen to him. Like, she was being very well, and this is how I know, like, that lawyer part of her was coming out, because every time he said something, she okay, okay, like she wasn't listening to him. It's like she was listening to respond instead of to understand. Like, she was being very condescending in that, right? And I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been in situations like that, and I've blown up. I have blown up on women doing that shit. Like, dog, don't do that, bro. Like, do not do that condescending shit, man. Straight up. And see, the thing about it is, when you're talking about, having a conversation of the heart, mind, and spirit, it's best for you to just, I guess what they say in elementary school, put a bubble in your mouth and just, kind of meditate on that and allow those people to speak their minds and to get their point of view. And then once they're done, then you have the floor, because when you're constantly interrupting, I'm glad that Jock checked that, because any other dude would have just let that shit slide. And I think as men, we have to start standing on our square, like he stated in the interview, or as the bros would say, stand on your one, stand on your manhood, and let it be known, like, look, man, like, I'm not gonna be disrespectful like that. I'm not gonna be slighted. I'm not gonna let it just ride like that. I'm gonna let you know that, hey, like, I take offense to you trying to make a statement that, that I wouldn't want my children to be like me or to be with a man like me. Like, no, because at the end of the day, you chose to be my wife. So if you're making these statements, then that's kind of like a slight at your character too, because you're involved with me as my wife, right? So I think just when we talk about the dynamics between men and women, and especially black men and black women, if you already know certain things about a person, you can't be upset if you're given certain things about an individual because you already had prior knowledge, right? You can't think that because all right, now we're in a marriage that now that person just gonna change. Like that doesn't really change anything, right? A person gonna be who they are, and you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, are you willing to accept that, or are you willing to walk away from it? Because we all have free will to do what we think is right for ourselves and for our future. So um, I think it's just interesting, just seeing this dynamic. But I was glad that Ja did stand up for himself and then just let that ride. I hope that in the future, when women are trying to basically son their men, that more men will step up and kind of like check that in the bud, and kind of let it be known, like, look, like you're not finna be sonning me out here in public. Like, no, you're going to put some respect on my name because at the end of the day, you chose to be with me. And if you want to exercise your right to, be with other people, do that. But you're not going to do that and just think that I'm just going to be okay with you trying to trash me in front of the world, because I'm not going to do that to you. But I thought it was a pretty interesting interview. We're almost at an hour. I wasn't expecting to go that long, but I want to hear y'all commentary. I want to see, how y'all felt about the interview. Make sure you put your comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Um, and again, that was my 5 cents. But until next time, eyes front, head out to the finish. See it through.